Вельмишановні пані та панове,
Esteemed ladies and gentlemen, let us greet you in this room during our important event. Today we will have an honor and opportunity to be present during the presentation of the project, the government's program of actions. A month that the new government started its work, and I heard from experts and colleagues of what the government intention to do. What is the program of this government? And we will have an opportunity not only from the Prime Minister and line ministers to hear on their behalf about priorities and tasks of the new government, but also during registration you receive badges and you have QR code. You can pass via this QR code not only to pose a question to every participant of 4 panels that we will have today during our event, but also to express your own thoughts, proposals in terms of specific track. And who knows, maybe you will have an honor and opportunity to tell to your children and grandchildren, I was the one who proposed to this government this specific track or idea. So please be involved, and during our discussion you will have an opportunity to pose a question. Today we will have an opportunity to know the first priority steps of the new government, and today we are together with you in very complicated times for Ukraine, where our defenders defending our country and then fighting for our freedom and independence. So we are thankful and grateful to every who perished, gave their life for the independence and freedom of Ukraine. So there will be a minute of silence, so please.
дякую вам.
Thank you. Please be seated. So we today, during the presentation of the project of government's program of actions, we will know what the government is believing. The program will be presented by the governmental officials, and member of parliament will be adopting it. So let me invite for greetings the Speaker of Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine, Mr. Stefanchuk Ruslan. Good afternoon. Esteemed Mrs. Prime Minister, First Vice Prime Minister, esteemed ministers, member of parliament, and present here. For me, it's a big honor on behalf of Ukrainian Parliament to open this very important event, because it seems to me that today we are conscious of the fact that how closely we co-living the historical moments in our new history of our state. This history is very important. We have to give answers to all these challenges, and the answer should be only one. This is our systemic cooperation planned in order to achieve the goal. I emphasize this system. It's not only amalgamation of certain events and phenomena. This is actions to implement these phenomena. So I would like that the result of our today's communication, not only the discussion of targeted changes, but how they will lead to the result, which is necessary for the whole Ukrainian people. So I'm deeply convinced that due to our cooperation, this all depends, except that I would like that today the presenters should remind the history lessons, because everything was already in 1920 of last century in Ukraine, where there was no system, no agreement, there were individual ambitions. And we know the result. I don't want that this should be repeated in the history of modern Ukraine. We should be more wise and find these options that will provide success to all of you. Except that I really do want that all these tasks that we will designate in the government of Ukraine, impose on them, would be realized, implemented in the certain document. The name is program. Once month ago, we designated the government, and we expect a holistic vision with synergy of our actions, government, president, office of the president, and the government, which is called power, as possession of the people. To show how we can go forward, I would like to mention vectors. First vector for Ukraine, this is Euro integration, because it depends on the security and trust and logics and cooperation with our partners depends on it. It's not a list of legislation that we are receiving with the flag of EU. These are contents, senses, reforms to be done. So I would be thankful when we'll stop this swap of laws, and we will pass to a deep discussion what is necessary for Ukraine, how we should fight for our interests in the future united European Union, and what should be done that with dignity to return to to our European home. And we should not be in danger of Soviet Union 2.0, and the history of our future will be a sign of that. I will not go deeply. We adopted a lot. Look at Motovilka, and in my back I have some ants crawling. So we need a systemic work and context. We should understand how it will impact on the future of Ukraine and on the future of Ukrainian people. And we are ready to this work. I should emphasize that 35 member of parliament registered new draft law, which will make fast track to adopt Euro integration laws. It will not be a simple law to be passed in the parliament, but this is a discussion we are ready to. This discussion will define responsibility of the government to implement the program related with Euro integration. Parliament will be involved as well, and we are going this way. More than 150 MPs are integrated in different negotiation groups related to Euro integration. So Euro integration is not only the way, we are not samurais, not to go the way. This is target of external and internal reforms of Ukrainian community. Closely to Euro integration, Euro-Atlantic integration is also related. Whatever you say, Ukraine has a defined way, and it requires security guarantees, and the best security guarantee is NATO. Ukrainian Parliament adopted a lot of legislative acts. There is statistics. We are ready to move this card forward, because for us the internal integration, interoperability with NATO alliance is of big importance. Ukrainian Parliament is ready further on to implement our strategy on the way of NATO. Third question, this is the question of financial stability of Ukraine. We can create many projects without sustainable funding. We cannot implement it. So question, Ukraine facility, IMF, World Bank, the questions of other agreements with partners, this is Ukraine Parliament is ready to implement, but we need to have a clear and transparent procedure of adoption of duties. We should not, implement in few minutes until it comes to the Parliament. Ukrainian Parliament is ready, together with you, with the government, negotiate all the constitutional items, what we can, what we cannot. Also, esteemed colleagues, I would like to pay your attention to a few important things that are priority for us. I communicated with Prime Minister and line ministers. We are moving on other tracks, except your integration, your Atlantic integration, financial stability. For us, the issue of systemic work is important. So implementation of the law about law drafting activity, decentralization, the issue of execution of those delegated to transitional provisions of the government, and a number of laws are related to the martial law. And we should understand when we have overwhelmed and peace, sustainable peace, we understand that with the martial laws, some certain laws will be over and some laws will be initiated. The issue of denunciation of agreements with the Russian Federation and Belarus is also on the agenda. The Sovietization of Ukrainian legislation is on the agenda. A new labor code, a new housing code, about new code on administrative infringement. These are the challenges and implementation of the program of the President of Ukraine. Because let's talk sincerely, many provisions are requiring rethinking and inclusion to government's program, which was designated by the Parliament. So, esteemed colleagues and esteemed MPs, we are here together to bear the joint responsibility for the future of the country. We are not just 2 points in the system that are not crossing with each other. We bear joint responsibility for what is taking place in the country. So we can hold our shoulder together, hand in hand. So thank you for cooperation and glory to Ukraine. Thank you, Mr. Ruslan. Mrs. Yulia again jotted down something, but I'm convinced that you are on a constant communication. Few minutes, we will have an opportunity personally, her presentation and priorities in the work. But let us now have a small video presentation and what are the priorities and tasks that the government has.
Одночасно уряд визначив пріоритети, що допоможуть вистояти та рухатися вперед, як під час війни, так і після. Безпека. Ми розширюємо власне виробництво зброї та дбаємо про захисників. Запускаємо Defense City, посилюємо захист критичної інфраструктури. Люди, українці заслуговують на гідне життя. Підтримуємо громади, допомагаємо тим, хто втратив житло. Забезпечуємо якісні послуги у прифронтових регіонах. Чекаємо вдома всіх українців. Економіка. Оборона країни можлива завдяки бізнесу та допомозі партнерів. Щоб економіка зростала, ми зменшуємо перевірки та пришвидшуємо приватизацію. Додаткові ресурси для відбудови забезпечать державні програми і фонди з ЄС та США. Для пришвидшення євроінтеграції готуємося відкрити 6 переговорних кластерів. Наша мета – сильна і самодостатня Україна, що поділяє європейські цінності.
This is a short video presentation. Now there will be detailed information. So under your applause, let's invite Prime Minister of Ukraine, Yulia Sviridenko. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, esteemed colleagues. I will be nervous because I'm for the first time Prime Minister, so it will be easier further on. First of all, Mr. Ruslan, thank you very much. It's like a program of actions of the Parliament, but thank you that you emphasized the necessity of systemic and coordinated work. Without this, we will not be able to be efficient. And I'm very glad that MPs are with us. And thank you for your time, for your attention. And I'm very thankful that we have also civil society, business association, all those who can help to make that our governmental program of actions would be coordinated, efficient, and those changes, quality changes that is necessary. So today we would like to present you the draft of the governmental program of actions. You will have an opportunity via QR code for those who was not involved in the development of this program to provide a few 5 days to present their own proposals, to discuss them with you in working groups and during the round tables in accelerated mode, and at the end of the week to show the final results. So we understand that the best decisions are born in dialogue, so we invite all of you to discussion and to provide your proposals. Our plan is based on 4 key tracks or foundations. Ruslan already mentioned, Alexeyevich, that without security and the economy, all the efforts to support people should be made for justice. And without a recovery, a restoration, we cannot plan our future. And this is key tracks of our government. Like Viktorovich mentioned, how government is planning to do. A month the government is working on all these tracks. And I'm glad that in cooperation with the Parliament of Ukraine and civil society, thank you for your initiatives, and we already implemented a number of initiatives, and we will talk in details with our ministers. I will present our ministers. They will have the opportunity during our panels, but I'm very lucky in part of the fact that I think that is one of the most professional government to see ministers that are working during wartime. It's very complicated. So my mic is not working very well. Maybe we have to overcome from the first minute, and then we will show our priorities. So,
Давайте так спробуємо. Олег Вікторович, у вас, очевидно, з мікрофоном більше співпраці, чим а може отак? Давайте так зробимо.
Let's make it as following.
Буде висіти і мені заважати, але давай, частина образу. Так, це більше Міше підходить.
Okay, Mikhailo Fedorov should be here, I think. He would address all of the things. Right, shall we start with the basic things? It's security and defense. We will have a separate Q&A session with the use of Mikhailo Fedorov, first Vice Prime Minister, who also streamlines innovation in the defense system, with Mr. Shmyhal, who is the Minister of Defense, and Mr. Klimenko. They will characterize this pillar in greater detail, but it is essential that we earmark 50% of the state budget for the defense sector, defense innovations, together with the Western manufacturers. And it is essential that the support to the defense industry should be systemic. So we launched the grant program to support the manufacturing of the explosives. We are starting to launch the Defense City, which is a requirement for all manufacturers of hardware, defense hardware. They need support from the government, and we will be seeking support from the MPs in this initiative. And we hope that this bill will be adopted very soon once Parliament returns from the recess. We are introducing new types and models of planning in the defense sector, and we will improve the contracts for the servicemen and service women. Mr. Stefanchuk, you started with that. European integration, it is a cross-cutting topic as well as digitalization. Through all of the governmental policies, we are opening the negotiations, the markets, and by the end of the year, we will complete the key stage, that is official analysis of Ukraine's alignment with the key, and we will be able to start negotiations negotiations and open all 6 clusters. Technically, on our part, we will be prepared. It's our strategic priority, and I believe that it is our duty to the Ukrainian society. And I am very glad that it is our common priority with Parliament, and we will be walking hand in hand towards this end. Anti-corruption is yet another cross-cutting topic, and we've seen that during the very first days of our activities, we relaunched the competition for the chief of the customs service. Now we are selecting the members of the selection board, actually, on the government of Ukraine, and we hope that our foreign partners will be giving us the names of their own candidates. Once that is done, we will form a selection board, and we will launch the competition for the ARMA head, and the Minister of Finance will allocate the necessary money, and we will start this process in cooperation with the legislators as well. Then we would be launching new digital services like e-notary, e-court, and administrative service centers. We believe that we as the government, as powers that be, and I hope that civil society will share this task with us, it has improved well-being and prosperity for the population, and it is, I believe, is also a cross-cutting topic. It brings together the Minister of Social Policy, the Minister of Veterans. We will be supporting the most vulnerable people, families with children, orphans, people living along the front line. We will be providing comprehensive support to them, and the Ministry for the Social Policy, Family and Unity will revise the system of social payments so that the basic pension is raised and made more fair. So the details will be discussed at a separate session with the minister. 180,000 families should get higher assistance for the newborn children, and 100,000 families with children under 3 years of age will be covered by the program e-nursery and e-kindergarten. So we will be working with the ministries and with the private sector. We say business requires people, and we have to create such a balance where people would be fighting and working. So a lot of families, a lot of women say that they are prepared to contribute to the economic development, but they need alternative for the children care. So I think that the programs that we are planning to implement with the Ministry of Social Policy will allow them to do so. When it comes to the development of front regions or regions close to the front line, the first package of support to those areas and communities have already been adopted, and there we also need support from the members of parliament to streamline the money to or to funnel the money to those who continue working, paying taxes, and we believe that these should be regions of safety and security. That's why we increase the level of deferment for the workers. The same pertains to the agrarian workers. We focus on horticulture, on hothouse culture, and there are a lot of such fulcri that we can start moving, and then we will improve the situation. And when it comes to education, and I'm looking at Sergei Babak, is the payment for the teachers. They will be working together with the Ministry of Education and Science to improve the working conditions for teachers in the areas close to the front line. They should be taken on board as a coefficient as a bonus to the basic salaries of teachers there. Compensations for the damaged and destroyed housing should be ensured. More than 320,000 families should receive. You can see the number 5,000 mortgages, but now we see the need for at least 10,000 new mortgages within the Yeosela program. And of course, we will be expanding the program to cover those who are needed for the workforce. And another policy, which is cross-sectoral, will be supported by Parliament. I hope we are now analyzing this policy with regard to veterans, and we will be discussing the veterans initiatives very soon, and we will see where the gaps are and how we can bridge them. After that, we will propose an entire code of laws to protect the defenders of Ukraine. We will introduce it to Parliament in September, and we will be seeking your support. And this bill will cover for the wholesome and comprehensive assistance and reintegration of veterans. Net housing for veterans with disabilities, more than 1,580 veterans, both men and women with disability, will get their housing certificates, and they will provide dentistry services through the governmental money. This initiative will be launched very soon, and we need a uniform portal to support veteran businesses as well, and ensuring that vouchers for education, re-education and reskilling should be also issued. But we still lack one hub where all of this information would be available to be communicated correctly and efficiently to the veteran community. So the launch of this uniform portal will enable us to better communicate all of the existing services, see where the gaps are, so that they could be bridged. And microfinance and reform, as Mr. Stefanchuk has said, will contribute to the macro stability, and we see it as a priority. Now I'm not speaking about what's more and what's less urgent as a priority, but this is just a list of priorities, and I believe that microfinance and microfinancial stability and budget stability would be our number 2 priority after defense, because it ensures that all of the support programs within the state could be made possible. We've got $37 billion microfinance support. Next month, we will see the delegation from IMF, and I've heard that you would like to have certain MPs as members of the negotiating team on the part of Ukraine. I hope we will find common ground here, and all of the requirements of our partners are better coordinated between us and the EU. We've already got a Ukraine facility, which is not only about the budget funding, but it is also about the implementation of reforms. So we believe that the programs of IMF and EU should be mutually complementary and very well aligned. Then we also plan to enhance our counteraction to the shadow economy, and I believe that this is a task not only for the government but also for other authorities, and it is a source that can provide additional incomes for the implementation of various policies. Now, when it comes to the new strategy on the sovereign debt, we will soon be doing this as well. Now, support of businesses. Over the next 3 months, we will be channeling 5 billion euros of international investment. By the end of 2026, we would be prepared to launch some of the tools with support of the European capital. It is essential that businesses do not work under duress. So we announced the moratorium for inspections. We are planning even more intense deregulation, and here we need your support. We are looking forward to your proposals by sectors like housing construction, healthcare, etc. We are bringing them together, and we are now drafting a bill that we would be tabling with the government to cancel or rather to revoke all the outdated regulations that actually prevent businesses from development. And together with MPs of the Economic Committee, Alexei Movchan, Dmytro Natalucha, are contributing to the drafting of the program of this grand privatization so that we could sell more properties and get revenue from that. We shouldn't be afraid to privatize assets because the government is, of course, a corporate owner in natural monopolies. But when it comes to disposition or to management of assets, we still have to think how to use international expertise in investment, in development of certain sectors. So I think that we should push forward this privatization. And another area that we should support is concession and PPP, now that the respective laws have been adopted. In early September, we will present a number of infrastructure projects that are already semi-prepared for the PPP and concession projects. And Alexei will be launching this large irrigation project that can also be part of this private-public partnership. When it comes to public health, we will be raising salaries for the doctors and nurses, at least to 35,000 hryvnias. Young doctors, after internship working in the regions close to the front line, will receive 200,000 hryvnias, and they will also be able to get housing for the term of their engagement in those areas. And we will be also offering preventing checkups. Good diagnostics will help us systemically approach the improvement of public health. Starting 2026, we will have checkups or screening for all people over 40 years, at least once in 3 years. Now, I'm afraid that we have omitted some of the sectors, but I will revert to education a bit later. Young people and sports, 135 various shelters to be built in regions close to the front lines. 3 million Ukrainians will take part in projects on mass sports and physical education, and we will be creating sources to ensure that the salaries in schools and youth camps are dignified. So, of course, it is always about the sources of funding, but that's why we are here. We have to address the most painful areas so that progress is possible there. We will be making sure that businesses contribute to technical education. Supervisory boards are being formed, science cities are being introduced, and together with the businesses, we will be introducing research subject. I told you about the school meals in schools close to the front line, and we will be defending this project and then rolling it out throughout the entire country. The next challenge is recovery and reconstruction. We speak about housing construction, about infrastructure. We have to rebuild or overhaul all of the damaged houses in the rear areas, and we will be reimbursing the cost of housing left in the temporarily occupied territories. It is a task that meets the demand for fairness and support. And we will be introducing the program called Recover Your House or Home. And we hope that very soon we will have an opportunity to launch it most meaningfully. We would like to underscore that culture is also part and parcel of our national identity, and acting minister Berezhna has got very high and demanding KPIs for her activities and activities of her ministry. So you will be able to read the draft program. Those who want to delve deeper, we are prepared to comment on all of those pillars. Next year, we will start rebuilding and restoring objects or projects of cultural heritage. Next week, we will have a dedicated session for the Cabinet of Ministers, and we will have 500 million hryvnias to protect and preserve cultural heritage. And Tatiana will tell you more in a separate session. And winterization and winter stability are extremely important. We are preparing our energy for the winter by defending the facilities and ensuring stable generation. Even during the attacks, we are accumulating gas so that we have 13.2 billion cubic meters, 350 megawatt of new capacities will be introduced through the support and protection of energy facilities against attacks, aerial attacks, and otherwise. So we've got a QR code on your badges. On the reverse of your badges, you've got a QR code, so you can come up with your proposals, with your feedback, and whatever you believe is necessary to be taken on board by government in their program. We took already into account whatever we heard from line ministries, from business associations, from think tanks, and yet again, I encourage you to come forward, to be very proactive, so that by the end of this week, we could have just the first official draft of this program for the consideration by Parliament. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. The document is working, because only people can handle that. All these tasks and targets that you posed in front of the government will be really implemented, and also you'll be asked for those actions. So thank you so much. Mrs. Yulia is not going anywhere. She will be here during all our event, and will be also answering to the questions that may emerge during 4 panels Mr. Stefanchuk actually is going away, and we thank you for your shoulder helping the government. Thank you, Mr. Ruslan. But also we understand that without international support, without our international partners, Ukraine itself will not wouldn't manage. So let's invite to the mic our esteemed guest, Auke Losman, resident representative of UNDP in Ukraine. So please.
Good morning. Good morning, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot say how happy I'm here today with you. 10 years ago, in 2014, I worked for UNDP here also in Ukraine, and now I'm back here with you as the new UNDP resident representative. So just to say that I'm so honored and pleased, but also very privileged to be with you. So I'll just offer a few comments based on what we've been listening to today. So just to say that after 3 years of a full-scale war, Ukraine really faces significant challenges, but also I've already seen with my own eyes the resilience that we find everywhere. So under strong national leadership, the country's long-term recovery and development remains substantial and require substantive international support. I think we all recognize that. So at this pivotal moment, I would like to start by reiterating that UNDP and also the larger UN, of course, is committed to standing with the government and the people of Ukraine. Again, I'm very grateful to be able to speak at this event. I will outline a little bit how UNDP, as a part of the UN system, will and aims to contribute to the government's strategic vision for the recovery and sustainable development of the country. As you probably know, UNDP is the development arm of the UN with a mandate that spans the full spectrum of recovery and development. And this unique position allows us to provide comprehensive support. So we work with a broad range of ministries, providing tailored support in policy development, governance reforms, but also institutional strengthening and coordination. And this ensures, of course, that also the national priorities are supported and implemented effectively and transparently, and also in line with Ukraine's EU integration plan. So the scale of our support remains significant. And just for you to know, I think at the moment UNDP's program in Ukraine is the largest in the world, at least as UNDP is concerned. So, but also sort of in the national context, it is clear whatever we can do is still a drop in the bucket or even in the ocean. If you look at the overall recovery and reconstruction needs, according to the latest estimates, we're talking about 524 billion or so over the next decade. So since the start of the full-scale invasion, UNDP has mobilized over 1 billion from more than 30 donor partners to support Ukraine's recovery and resilience. And I think it's worth mentioning that a core achievement here has been in the energy resilience, where we have delivered 469 megawatts of energy generating equipment. And this is nearly half of the government's 2024 target. And I think it's fair to say it also restored essential services to millions of people, including in critical facilities across the country, as well as also the businesses that the Prime Minister was talking about. In the roughly 1 month since I started my assignment here in Ukraine as the new UNDP representative, I visited our own teams and Ukrainian communities in Kharkiv, Poltava, Mykolaiv, Lviv, and Odessa oblasts. I have more to do, but at least it was a good start. And I think what is important to me, these initial visits have given me an invaluable perspective on the ground. It also reinforced my belief in the power of local communities to drive recovery. I've seen really firsthand the incredible work that's being done and also the unwavering spirit of the Ukrainian people. And my initial travels around the country have shown me that our presence is vital, not only in Kiev, but also across the entire country. As you probably also know, UNDP works directly with Ukraine's armadas to advance reconstruction returns, resilience, reforms, strengthening local capacity, to manage grants and loans, improve administrative, social and health services, drive local economic growth, and support reintegration of veterans and returnees, and implement national reforms at the subnational level. So our focus moving forward, hand in hand with the government, will be on several key areas. And I like to stress, all aligned with the government's priorities as we also listen to it today. So first, and I think foremost, is reconstruction and recovery. We are supporting the restoration of infrastructure and services with a focus on green, resilient, and inclusive approaches. I should also mention that UNDP is the lead UN agency for mine action, which is, of course, an enabling activity for the rest of it. So, second point, economic revitalization and SME support. We are partnering with the government here to strengthen the business environment and promote entrepreneurship and advance the Made in Ukraine initiative. Third, when I came here, I was amazed about how, Ukraine is already digitized, right? So the digital transformation process has really taken root here, and we continue to support the government for the transformation of government services and systems, increasing their efficiency, accessibility, and transparency. Fourth point, this is the governance and institutional capacity. We are assisting the government here in advancing reforms and strengthening the state institutions as we've been doing before for a long time. And fifth, and I think is also super important, is of course the EU agenda alignment. We're drawing also on the UNDP's regional experience to support Ukraine's integration process, ensuring that reforms and investments meet EU standards. And then finally is the issue of policy coordination and development. We are helping to align national priorities with Ukraine's international commitments through strategic policy advice, improving policy coherence across sectors, and aid coordination mechanisms. We're also focused on innovation and financing. We are introducing our work on blended financing and innovative investment models to crowd in private capital, engage also non-traditional donors, and leverage climate and resilience funds for the long term and low-cost financing. We believe it is crucial to combine public and private financing to accelerate reconstruction and economic growth while building a sustainable and future-ready economy for Ukraine. So just in closing, I want to reaffirm our readiness as UNDP to be a strategic partner to the government in implementing its vision, but also we will offer our global expertise, our innovative approaches, and a network of partners to help Ukraine achieve its recovery, EU integration, and its long-term reconstruction and development goals. I thank you so much. Thank you.
Дякуємо, пане Лосма, за те, що ви в Україні, за те, що ви з Україною, за
Thank you, Mr. Loxma, that you trade for your support and readiness to be closely to help Ukrainian development. Now we pass to important part of our today's event. As long as the Prime Minister, Ms. Yulia Sviridenko, by blocks formulated the task in front of the government, we will actually start with these four blocks, four panel discussions that will be not the exchange of thoughts of ministers, but an opportunity to give answers to questions, different replicas, remarks, comments. Ms. Yulia will be involved in this process, so we will pass to our first panel discussion. As I announced, it will be grouped by 4 key tracks presented by the government's program of actions. First panel, first block of Q&A, restoration, progress, rebuilding, and the members of the government will present their visions, aspects, how come the targets will be achieved, what will be the focus, first of all. I will invite to this stage of to moderate Samuel, Head of Department of Communication of Minister of Culture and Strategic Communication of Ukraine. Mr. Serhiy, you have the floor and 45 minutes for your panel. Esteemed colleagues, members of government, MPs, I would like to invite in the first panel Alexei Kuleba, Vice Prime Minister on Recovery, Minister of Development of Communities and Territories of Ukraine, Taras Kachka, Vice Prime Minister on issues of European and Euro-Atlantic integration, Yerman Galushenko, Minister of Justice of Ukraine, and Tatiana Berezhna, Acting Minister of Culture and Strategic Communication. Shortly about the agenda of our panel. First of all, I will pose questions to each participant of our panel, and then the representative of mass media can ask their questions up to 5. In general, no, not everybody, Mr. Taras. So let us start. First question, Mr. Alexei, to you. In conditions of lengthy war in Ukraine, we have restoration and recovery. We recover damaged schools, hospitals, facilities of infrastructure, housing. For instance, in Kiev Oblast is recovered for 80%. And this is, without exaggeration, is unprecedented to the whole world. In your statements, you say that the recovery should be done in the whole country. But near borderline, near front line is a priority. Why near front line territories? Because they are most suffer from missile shelling. A part of people left their places of habitation, businesses are closed. And in relation to that, the question is to you. How you answer to the question, what does it mean to recover in conditions of the present war? The timing until 3 minutes for answer. Thank you. First of all, I would like to greet all of you at this important event. I think that it's an interactive opportunity to communicate with the MPs, with the representatives of the community and public. This is what we require in order that we have to be clearly on the same page and understand each other. What are the plans we have? What are the disadvantages for flowbacks, and what are the proposals to consider? So I'm ready to greet you and be assured that we will have a fruitful work today in terms of the recovery and restoration. Frequently the question that is asked to us, why we recovered during the war and whether this is necessary to do. I would like to say that the answer is here. I think it seems to me upper level and ideological. It is understandable to every Ukrainian, because during full-scale invasion, the recovery, this is also the weapons and answer to the aggressor, that our resilience of our people is part and fundamentals of our future victory. In terms of policy, which our ministry implements together with the government, here I have to say that the recovery during the war is first of all about the people, because people they choose to be living on that or another territory independently, what other conditions are. And when, of course, when we talk about the recovery in our communities, hromadas that are very close to the front line located, we have a unanimous understanding that these communities and oblasts and the line of front is more than 1,500 kilometers, covering 10 oblasts of Ukraine. This is a security belt of our country. This is the belt that holds the enemy for further penetration of armed aggression and unconditionally actually holds it back, moving forward to Europe. So our attention should be dealt to the support and recovery of near frontline regions. Shortly, I would like to give you an example of today's tragic night in Kharkiv. 6 people died after night attack. What means the recovery today? First week, this is the work on liquidation of implications of this shelling, the work of profile ministries, the regional local power. It should be complete during a week or 2 weeks, independently the volumes of this shelling. In terms of further action, this is, of course, to provide people with minimal livelihoods, to repair their housing, infrastructure, and to make it so that this infrastructure would be working. This is the response for today in terms of recovery in near frontline regions. We are not talking about the fact that we are building team building in Kharkiv. We cannot say so, but we have to support people who are living in Kharkiv, who are working in our communities at the front line, and the focus should be there. So I'm thankful to Prime Minister and MPs, all of those who helped to implement this program. So we will be implementing it, and presently we managed to focus at near frontline regions, and then further on we will be implementing this policy in next phases, implementing more efficiently for people.
Thanks, Alexei. My next question goes to Mr. Kochko. By the end of the year, Ukraine, together with the EU, is planning to finalize screening in all of the clusters. Can we expect that the negotiations on those clusters would be open by the end of this year or the beginning of the next year? What challenges do you envision on the way to that? Today, a plan is being implemented, and by the end of September, we will complete the screening sessions with Cluster 5. All of the presentations have been put in place. All presentations have been carried out, and with the European Commission, we've agreed on the negotiation position on Cluster 3. We also expect that in September, October, we will receive feedback from the European Commission so that we can approve our negotiating position. So several clusters have already been prepared for the opening, Cluster 1, 2, and 6. The first one is the most important. It's about fundamental rights, and we and the European Commission have got all of the necessary documents at hand so that all of the 27 EU member states could start voting. We've got already support from the 26 MPs, and we are working very intensely with the 27th one. And we hope that the global negotiation stage on ceasefire or truce in Ukraine will be instrumental in our moving forward. It's more a policy matter than the preparedness for the negotiations. And I would point out something that Mr. Stefanchuk mentioned. The next stage of negotiations will have a fairly specific form because it wouldn't be about negotiations, but rather about our homework to adopt all of the legislation necessary for the alignment of Ukrainian legislative framework with the acquis. So we have to develop this program together with Parliament. It will be the law-making program in all of the spheres of negotiations and public administration. So we should achieve mutual ground or common ground and better understanding of which are the priority directives that we have to incorporate into our legislation. And all of the events or activities envisioned in the program should move Ukraine forward to the European integration and its own national development. It's what the negotiations with the European institutions and European Commission, first and foremost, are about. So this is a fairly comprehensive program, but it also has an algorithm of how to move step by step, working intellectually, very harmoniously with the civil society across government. And we hope that other partners like the World Bank and IMF would coordinate their requirements and their approaches with those of our European partners so that we could understand better the contents of those commitments and the way they contribute to our overall development. Thank you, Mr. Kochko. My next question is to Mr. Halushenko. Digitalization in the sphere of justice is one of the ministry's priorities. How will the launch of e-notary affect anti-corruption effort? When will Ukrainian nationals be able to get all legal services online, basically online? Thank you very much for this question. Not only are we speaking about e-notary, but we are thinking of digitalization of all legal services, particularly when it comes to the registration of demographic statistics or any civil acts. It's about convenience, and it's also about security and safety. Today, we've got this e-marriage function, and it was launched back in September 2024, and 2,000 marriages took place at first, but now it's 10,000 monthly. And even in e-marriage, we've got a line of people, or queue, people waiting to get their marriages registered. We hope that this queue will be addressed very soon, and all people who would like to get married can do that very fast. Now, we've been working with Mr. Ferderiv on e-divorce and e-notary, and you've mentioned that it is extremely important because it will have several stages by the end of this year, and we will link this database with the demographic database of Ukraine, and it will exclude all fraud in terms of verification of individuals who seek such services. And this service will become operational in January next year, and you will be able to notarize for example, in powers of attorney in this service, e-notary. And this makes all of those processes very transparent and anti-corruption based. So the digitalization of judicial enforcement is also on our agenda. Now the bill has passed second reading, and it facilitates the entire system of judicial enforcement. Today, a person, for example, pays a fine through a bank, and then they have to go to the enforcement service, and the enforcement service should close the proceedings. But now, thanks to the link amongst all of the database, this can be done automatically without any additional execution of executive writs. So thus we remove this human factor, we remove the paper flow of documents, which facilitates, speeds up, and excludes fraud and machinations with documents or with actually all the paperwork pertaining to properties or other assets. Tatiana, my question is to you. What specific steps are you planning to take so that culture is truly a component of the national security, given that we have to restore it? Thank you very much for your question. Now, we live in unique times. While during the large-scale invasion, Ukraine keeps Ukrainians together, culture keeps Ukrainians together. And we speak about our DNA, and culture is part of our DNA, but we sometimes overlook the fact that Ukrainian culture suffered 4 billion euros damage. And when it comes to the specific steps to take to preserve and restore the cultural heritage, we've got a very clear sequence of steps. First of all, we speak internationally when we engage the Heritage Preservation Fund, and we've got agreements on establishing such a fund with our international partners, and we plan to attract 500 million hryvnia, and we are planning to restore and reconstruct more than 10,000 heritage objects in Ukraine. We've got obsolete protocols when it comes to the evacuation of the objects of heritage from temporarily occupied territories of Ukraine, and we will be working to develop those, to update them. Culture is huge power and incentive to develop economy. When it comes to creative industries, for example, we would be launching grant programs for creative industries, and one of the objectives of this program would be to create new jobs in the sector of culture and mobility within the sector of culture. Our priority is also resilience and financial independence or autonomy of cultural institutions in the times of the war. Now, it is our goal to expand the array of paid-for services that cultural institutions can offer so that they are more financially sustainable, and perhaps the change of their organizational and legal forms, again, enabling them to be more autonomous. Now, cultural diplomacy is a mighty factor here. Fortunately, our foreign partners, our international partners, appreciate the situation. Now, more than 1,500 heritage objects have been destroyed, and more than 3,200 badly damaged. So with alliances like cultural resilience lines that we've agreed on during your stay in Rome, and it brings together more than eight member partner countries. Quite recently, we agreed on the participation of Japan as well. And thanks to this internal and external effort, we hope to cope with all of the problems and standing up to the challenges of preservation of cultural heritage, working together with the relevant Verkhovna Rada Committee and with the civil society that are extremely supportive to the government in meeting its commitments and enhancing our own capacity. We will be able to hit the targets. Thank you very much, Tatiana. That's the second part of our panel. And now the media representatives or people from the floor will be able to ask questions. Please introduce yourselves and tell us which of the panelists you would like to address your question. Well, Ukraine Forum. Thank you. Tkachuk Svetlana, Ukraine Forum. My question is to Mr. Kuleba. Mr. Kuleba, quite recently, the government approved the first package of the support program to near-front territories. When do you expect first outputs of this program? Now we understand you are preparing the second package. How will it be different from the first one? Thank you very much. I would like to thank everyone who contributed to this extremely important work. The first package of supporting near-front regions has been adopted. It's 383 hromadas in 10 regions. That's what I mentioned before. It's our security belt. This program aims to support those people who need this assistance right now, immediately. So when it comes to the launch of the program, the services will become available on September the 1st. Some services have already been launched, and they will be either extended to cover all 383 hromadas, or they will be deepened in quality. The second package will be approved very soon. It will be about rebuilding. It will be about economic invigoration and social support to local people. It's our task to now actually draft and table a bill that will enshrine all of those preferences for a certain period of time, so that people on the ground would appreciate that it's not only about 1 year or a couple of years. It's a long-standing program for the sustainable development of those regions close to the front line. So I encourage all of the potential stakeholders to contribute. Thank you very much. Next question, Inter TV channel. Good morning. Елizaveta Yakovleva, the Inter TV channel. My question is to Tatiana. You mentioned the program for the creative industries development. Could you please elaborate? What's this program about? What's its expected results, and when will you start implementing it? Thank you for your question. Our task it is to engage or attract money into the sector of creative industries, because we understand this is an export-oriented sector with value added and lots of new jobs. We will be supporting publishing houses, media, local media, smaller media that work close to the front line. You might have heard that this governmental program, My own business, provided more grants to more than 30,000 participants, and we would like to support young people in creative industries because they create Ukrainian content, Ukrainian goods and services there to replace the Russian ones, and this program will create favorable conditions for those who will gain those grants, and the amount of grants will also be larger. The governmental resolution to introduce this program is work in progress in government, and in early September we will be able to present the terms and conditions of this program to potential stakeholders. Thank you very much, Tatiana. Not only Ukrainian but foreign ones as well participate in this event. Any questions from the international media? Deutsche Welle, the floor is yours. Good afternoon. I'm Anna Pshemishka, Deutsche Welle. My question goes to Mr. Kachka. You said that in order for us to start negotiations on the EU accession, we've already mustered support from 26 countries, and you intensely work with the 27th one. So what are the deadlines that you set to yourselves for this integration process? And the deadlines remain the same. The political horizon is 2030, and it is relevant, and it gains even more significance because you will know that President Zelensky stopped over in Brussels on his route to Washington, and he spoke with Ursula von der Leyen there, and they both confirmed this political time frame. And some of the changes are being introduced daily on how to move towards that. We understand that August has been a relatively calm month, but we continue talking to people there, and on September the 1st we will be meeting with the foreign ministers of all of the member states in Copenhagen, and we understand that the key issues that we still have with one of the member states can be addressed not only through the actions of Ukraine, but rather through a systemic protection of national minorities and some other activities within the frameworks of the negotiations to be open soon. So the opening of the negotiations will correspond to the interests of all MPs. So it will make sure that the European Commission, through introducing the roadmaps agreed within Cluster 1, in particular action plan to protect national minorities, could actually offer some comprehensive solutions. And when it comes to the national minority policy, the integration into the EU will enable us to reduce the strictness and toughness of borders, and thus facilitate this policy and these interests. And we hope that in early September we will have positive news.
So there are questions to three participants of our panel. To keep the balance, I would like to ask you whether there are questions to Minister of Justice. If no, then we pass to... It is envisioned that can I only leave to mass media representative Ukrainian radio, please? Thank you, Ukrainian radio. Suspilne broadcasting have a question to Taras Kachka. We are discussing the issue of division of tracks of Moldova and Ukraine, and there are thoughts that it can be done, including before the elections in Moldova. So, Mr. Taras, there is a question to you. to what extent you evaluate whether this track is risky or not. President Zelensky negatively evaluated this issue. If it would be done, how negatively it would impact on Ukraine. I'd like to say again, it's not our main thought of the EU, and us, this is opening of negotiation for the first class for Ukraine and Moldova. There are no obstacles for that, and in fact, single need is to ensure unanimity of 27 countries, members of EU. Why it is negative? First of all, this is a step back from the basic approach in terms of opening negotiations, even with the overview on the fact that this is an attempt to maybe support pro-European forces during parliamentary campaign in Moldova. But in fact, this is the implementation of negative scenario, which in fact, at framing of expansion of European Union to Ukraine and Moldova, integration of Ukraine and Moldova into EU. Thus, to present the results of voting, future voting in Moldova, as discussion whether Moldovan community wants to integrate into EU or no, then in the same way negatively to evaluate the attitude of Ukraine to such things, and again to show the capability or non-capability of EU to integrate Ukraine and Moldova into EU. And all these aspects, ideas are related to the fact only to Moldova to open the first cluster. This idea should be taken into consideration because absolutely they are extremely damage the force of European integration, which is necessary for Ukraine, Moldova, and for the EU itself, with their own challenges that Russian Federation creates. So, of course, expediently that we need to focus on the basic scenario, the opening of full-scale negotiation for Ukraine and Moldova, because the majority of EU members and EU institutions, they are in favor of that. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Taras. Last question during this panel. Interfax Ukraine. Good afternoon. Dmitro Koshuin from Interfax, Information Agency. Question to Minister of Justice. Frequently, there are many questions of mass media to integrate the Commission. It was called different to Minister of Justice. You said that the perspective it is planned to resolve these issues through digital services in a notary system, but the issue is very morbid today. What are your short-term plans to better in situation in this area? In fact, this is one of the important tracks because, in fact, as a matter of fact, there are many issues to the work of this Commission, and the question is not only but what are the decisions are taken. So, accordingly, today we attentively look at any decision that is taken by the Commission, and there are sometimes controversial decisions that are taken. My standpoint is if the registrator, wherever it is, performs actions that they are cancelled because of the infringement of legislation, she should be null and void and search for another job. So I'm also addressing to law enforcement bodies to consider these cases. The registrar, 44 illegal registration actions been made, but this registrar, it was a temporary registration for a month. No, it's not so. We cancel the access forever, and then in parallel we address to law enforcement bodies. So the quality of registration services will be better, and the responsibility for these sections will be also much better. Esteemed colleagues, do you have a desire to pose a question? Excuse me, I'm without a table. I am blogger. I'm not a representative of mass media. I was a little bit surprised to hear from the Minister of Justice how the decisions of corruption, removal by digitalization of the marriage, many faced with bribes when applied for the marriage. I'd like to ask, do you have plans in more complicated tracks, areas of justice, overload on judges, absence of integrity of judges, not efficient advocates, self-governance, and the absence of legal education. In fact, when talking about corruption, if you have a human being, an individual, there is also a risk of corruption. When we implement digitalization in any area, we are saying that this risk is disappearing. The question about integrity of judges or how the judicial system is functioning, we can talk a lot and discuss. Again, even there, we also plan e-court program, the paperwork, paper circulation. Unfortunately, corruption is related with the circulation of documents in the courts. When they try to initiate the case for a specific judge, it is now in paper circulation. When e-court will be implemented, it will work better in terms of self-governance of barristers and the bodies of bankruptcy. If all this self-sustained and just, why they have corruption there you're talking about? The question that from the side of the state to make transparent rules, to maximum extent systemize and structure to avoid this such a decisions, and the next step is the digitalization, which is our priority. I would like to add what Yulian Toller mentioned. We have comprehensive roadmaps. So it's like a bureaucratic instrument. It was what you are talking. These are actions, a number of actions out of 500 in the area of rule of law and anti-corruption that we approved with the EU. And for us, it is important maximum extent advance with the sections of the target to ensure the work of all dimensions of justice in such a way that would establish the authority of court system in the state, and digitalization is the most radical measures to be taken in such dimension, dealing with the use of modern digital instruments. But meanwhile, there is legal drafting work in terms of integrity of judges and the reform of legal enforcement bodies. It never disappears from the agenda. So our task is to prioritize, to systemize these tasks. Why such measure is discussable, the issue of integrity of judges. What can be the results achieved? Also, these laws that are under consideration in Rada, they are also dependent on digitalization of the highest council of justice. We have all our own vision based on experts from NGOs that are present here, and we do hope that until the end of the year we will have a situation when we have joint understanding of these dynamics of these processes, and the decrease of antagonism in public discussion will be less. We have very strict timing, so we have to complete, to adjourn. Maybe you have the questions to the participants of this Q&A panel. You can ask after the event. Thank you to our members of government and all the present. And I give floor to Mr. Oleg. Thank you. Thank you so much for the participation, lively discussion, Mr. Garman. But with EU marriage is not very simple. In Saturday, I will share comment. I have 30 years of marriage. I will test. So via DIA, I sent the proposals, and the wife said yes. So I don't know what I have to do with the previous marriage. I tested on Saturday in the updated version of DIA app. So let's pass to next phase of discussion. This is about economic activity of the government, and here we have many questions and a lot to discuss. I invite moderator Dmytro Gerasimania, Advisor Minister of Finance. You have 40 minutes as well. And please invite the other participants. Greatly, economy, finances, and energy. Sergei Marchenko, Minister of Finance of Ukraine. Alexei Sobolev, Minister of Economy, Environment, and Agrarian Business of Ukraine. Ms. Svetlana Granchun, Minister of Energy of Ukraine. Colleagues, we continue such format, one question to Minister, and then communication with the media. Let's start from you, Mr. Sergei. Prime Minister Yulia Sviridenko mentioned about the importance to work with international partners. I would like to talk about the need for 25-26, which is ensured, what are the assurances are made, and why we talk about 2 years perspective in the context of international funding. Thank you for the invitation. Ms. Prime Minister clearly identified the needs that are envisioned, the closure of financial need for 26-27. This is 37.4 billion of hryvnia. This is the need for the present day. We will exact it when we will prepare in the budget for 26, because we have priorities that require funding. We have challenges requiring funding. So this is a preliminary figure. Until September 15th, this figure will be exacted. Why for 2 years? Well, there is understanding that from 2028, we will have in the budget of the European Union our own track program that will be financing the needs of Ukraine. So until 2028, we need funding, which the challenges cannot be forecasted. How come this need should be covered, war without war? We don't have other options, rather go into on alternative options when we will have the war during 26, if there will be positive implications of negotiations. And there will be understanding at the end of the year that the war is about to end. All Ukrainians, they dream about it, that it will be stable, overwhelming peace for Ukraine. We will review this approach. But we should be very pragmatic, and for 2026 we plan the continuations of hostilities. It envisions our need, which is for today, I would emphasize, is $45 billion. This is need for external funding. It's not deficit plus recovery of debts, repayment of debts, which we have to note. It's not closed. We do negotiations with our key partners, G7, EU countries, and together with IMF, our key stakeholders, we will achieve the acceptable option, how come these needs will be covered. So I'm really strictly optimistic that any decision can be made, and our need in a majority is close for 2026, rather than it was, for instance, 22, 23. So we have certain assurances with our thorough actions. Due to Parliament, we have to implement this plan of reforms. We jointly communicate, perform joint actions, and governmental team is targeted to implementation of these reforms, and all the needs will be covered for 26 and 27. And in 2028, as you heard, we would expect a cooperation with the European Commission within the framework of the long-term budget of the European Commission. Thank you. Question to Mr. Alexei. Alexei, you have a very large ministry uniting agrarian sector, environment, economy. How the ministry would unite these all areas in one strategy, and how you avoid fragmentation, and how you keep the balance with the recovery of agri sector, involvement of investments, and green transformation? You can have 3 minutes. This is the issue that is frequently asked. We have different stakeholders, and we think that we can avoid this fragmentation of decision-taking process, because it's not possible to recover economy without agrarian sector, to consider the protection of environment and green agenda, which is a part and one of the nucleus of EU integration. And thus, why we unite ministries, we think that we can take a decision to balance stakeholders inside the ministry. As examples, for instance, we can better and faster to define the framework of national parks, boundaries of, because the state cadastre we have, so we can remove conflict. Also irrigation reform, which is important. Issue of water is divided between 3 ministries. And we seem that the conflict that existed in that area between environment and agrarian sector can be also corrected. Third, line through these investments, all amount of projects. We need to learn to involve investments into green projects, and we think that our joint work inside of the ministry, single ministry, unified what we do for other sectors, considering Ukrainian reforms framework, it can help in those sectors where the investments are not so many. And then general digitalization, as Prime Minister, the previous panel mentioned, it's important to launch the first issuance of references with the consideration of AI, veterinary phytosanitary certificates. It's not just economy. This is economy related to agrarian area, uniting few areas. The decision should be taken more efficiently and quickly. So we have found some synergies in a month, and it will permit the life of our people better for the account of this unification, and also we work that such synergies would be more. Last question to Ms. Grinchuk, Minister of Energy. In front of us, winter 25-26 heating season, and considering the tax on energy infrastructure, how Ukraine is getting ready to this winter season, and how stable energy supply will be ensured, and what capacities will be commissioned until the end of the year. Thank you for the question. In fact,
we are preparing to meet the fourth winter in the times of war. We hope peace will reign in Ukraine by that, but still we should be prepared. For almost a year, we have been living without blackouts. So we have to thank our people from the energy sector, all of the employees who are the best in the world in terms of repairs and responding very fast to all of the outage. So now this scenario is one of the top priorities of the ministry and the government at large, and it includes several areas. First of all is repairs and recovery of all of the energy equipment in all of the energy facilities, for us to be sure that the energy facilities, our EPP, HPPs, combined generation facilities could be in a good form and shape for the winter. Then we have to reconstruct the generation facilities and the transmission facilities. It is our plan to build 3.2 gigawatt worth of facilities, and most of the work has already been done. This should be completed by the end of the year. Another important areas in preparing for the heating season would be protection of such facilities. The Prime Minister holds sessions and work meetings with all of the stakeholders, with the military, with the Ministry of Internal Affairs, with the state special communication service. So over the last 3.5 years, we've been prepared to protect such facilities. Which tools are the most effective? Not only am I speaking about physical security, but about safety, about air defense. And Mikhailo Fedorov and Igor Klimenko cooperate with us so that jointly we can ensure the proper protection of those facilities. Next, the resources and the inventory of those resources, coal, natural gas, etc. For us to live through this heating season painlessly, our target is 13.2 billion cubic meters of gas at the beginning of the season, and more than 4.5 billion should be imported. And here we enjoy great support of our international partners. Last week we got yet another grant from Norway, 80 million euros to pay for the imported gas. We also signed a loan agreement with EBRD for 5 million euros to support the energy sector. We cooperate with the European Investment Bank, and I hope that very soon we will hear good news. So we are working according to plan in pumping in gas. I wouldn't be giving you the figures, but I am sure that when it comes to coal and gas, we will have enough inventory to live through this heating season. Now we are speaking about the development of a distributed generation, more than 50 megawatt of that, gas plus generation from alternative source of energy, renewable energy. And we are speaking about the distributed generation project that have been implemented by large energy companies, state-owned mostly. The private business also contributes, and we focus that more than 500 megawatts will be insured through the private sector projects. I can't guarantee you that, but we support the private sector the best we can so that they would be able to implement those projects. And we also support households and population in ensuring their energy autonomy. Last year, the government introduced a program to install solar panels with beneficial loans, interest-free loans. And now we attract money from international partners to go on with this program. And we simplify all of the regulatory procedures to be able to recover and repair different types of generation facilities faster and more effective. That's the electricity grid, other elements of electricity infrastructure, so that we build new and install new capacities. Because not only do we have to restore what we had, but also to build new ways of energy and gas supplies. Thank you very much, Svetlana. Now, questions from the media. Okay, Forbes. Thank you for this opportunity to ask a question. My question goes to Alexei Sobrev. I looked through the program draft, and it's about 6 months moratorium on inspection of businesses. What kinds of businesses will be covered, and what's the target of introducing this moratorium? The target is to lessen the pressures to bear on businesses. So we are speaking about controlling bodies and law enforcement authorities. The exclusion is made for excise goods sector, but this will be a mechanism introduced through several authorities, and we cooperate with the General Prosecutor's Office to see what they should and what they shouldn't inspect and control. We will be working with the Bureau of Economic Security, and we will be focusing on the market control based on risk analysis, right? Only those which are highly risky companies will be subject to inspections. Others will be covered by the moratorium, and it is a very practical tool. We will be adding certain dashboards or other digital tools so that we could see what the situation with the compliance is in various companies. Now, when you speak about law enforcement authorities, what ones do you mean or do you have in mind? We've got lots of law enforcement authorities, you are right, but first and foremost, I'm speaking about those that engage in inspecting or monitoring economic activities. Like just access goods sector would be supervised, others would be under the risk-oriented approach. Political, please. Thank you. I'm Veronica from Politico Europe. My question goes to Mr. Sobolev as well. I appreciate we understand why Ukraine cannot seize Donbas or the rest of Donbas. Could you explain it for the foreign international audience? What can this seizing imply or entail if we give up all of the facilities of energy and economic infrastructure? You know, nobody is going to cede those territories. It sounds strange to any Ukrainian. Crimea is Ukraine, Donbas is Ukraine, all other territories and oblasts are Ukrainian oblasts. So we can't even start talking about the implications of ceding lands. Some of the territories are indeed occupied by Russia, but this occupation is temporary, I'm sure. Perhaps you should reframe your question. Okay, we are under pressure, and to Trump, constitution is not a convincing or compelling argument. So can you tell us about just potential economic implications thereof? Just hypothetical situation. Now you see what happened to the occupied territories. When Russia comes, nothing works there. In 2022, 1/3 of the Ukrainian GDP was lost because of that occupation. That's the implication to Ukraine. But we are not discussing ceding land in any shape or form. Erbika, Ukraine. Good afternoon. My question is to Mr. Sobolev. What does the government do when it comes to the critical minerals fund? And then in what will be support, right? Connection to electrical grids, etc. Yeah, we will be enhancing Ukrinvest that works with investment nannies. A part of it has already been funded. There are several bills in Parliament that will be promoting special regime for large investment. There is a large program for geological research so that more licenses are put up to tenders so that we can attract more investment via this fund where the contributors are American and European companies. In September, the fund will have its first supervisory board session, and they will announce the launch of this fund. We've got an agreement with the U.S. On which first investment will be put into this fund. And now we are working with a pipeline of projects that would be supported from that fund. We will have a large delegation from the U.S. in September. They will be traveling across Ukraine to see the locations where such projects can be implemented. So we are looking forward to the beginning of this work together with the U.S. Any questions to any other ministers? The Minister of Finance, perhaps. Interfax Ukraine. Yep. Good afternoon. Out of those two scenarios that the government has with its macro forecast, the continuation of the hostilities is the basic one. So, Serhiy, you said that the need for the external funding is huge. Are you planning that the internal revenues will go up? Are you planning to increase taxes? When the national revenue strategy was approved, certain tax changes were envisioned, but we hope that the war would not be lasting so long. Thank you, Dmitro. The basic scenario today, the macroeconomic scenario, provides for the end of the war in 2025. The alternative one provides for the continuation of active hostilities in 2023. And the base for the budget calculation is the alternative scenario. So we are now drafting our budget based on the alternative scenario that war is going on in 2026. When it comes to taxation, the key task here would be to make sure that stability is ensured with the GDP revenues. We will have very tough discussions with the IMF delegation when we say that thanks to the relaunching of the fiscal authorities, and we will be able to preserve and maintain the core of the revenues. But now I cannot go into any further detail. Thank you. And any questions to Ms. Svetlana Grinchuk, Senzor.net. Good afternoon. Thank you. I've got a question to Alexei Sobolev, if I may. Now, he's got enough questions so far. It's about irrigation program and the losses borne because of the destruction of the irrigation facilities. What's the implications, the effect for agriculture? If you could discuss it separately during the break, okay? Questions to Ms. Grinchenko? Bloomberg. Thank you, Safronova Olesa Bloomberg. My question is to Ms. Grinchuk. about the events of today. Can you confirm that the SOCAR infrastructure in Odessa Oblast was hit during this attack? How bad it is? How do you think it will affect the strategy of our relations with Azerbaijan? And my question to the Minister of Finance, you said 45 billion euros or dollars need for the next 2 years. Do I take it right? And one more, do you see at least the contours or the say, blueprint of the future program with IMF? Yeah, the attack on any energy infrastructure is very painful, be it a state-owned enterprise or a private business. And we've got hits against infrastructure almost daily or nightly. And in Odessa Oblast, indeed, last night, the energy infrastructure facilities were damaged. So far, it has been difficult to monetize this impact or damage. Now the CESO colleagues are working to respond to it, to actually put the fires down. So we are working to improve our relations with Azerbaijan that provided a lot of assistance as by way of humanitarian assistance in restoring our energy equipment. And quite recently we launched the project on supplies of Azeri gas via the Balkan corridor, and we will continue to work together. Azerbaijan is a very reliable partner in many areas, but Russia is irritated because of that. What's your second half of the... I do remember it. Okay, thank you. There's a need for external funding. It is $45 billion, and it is also a part of the settlement of our foreign debt. The deficit would be $42 billion as in the previous years of the large-scale invasion. So now we've got the liabilities that can be channeled to fund the deficit of budget to the tune of 35 billion, but that's not enough. And now we have to mobilize effort to close this gap of 2026. Now we are speaking about 26 and 27, because by closing the gap for 26 and thinking about the 27, we will be mindful of this very valuable resource, not to have it spent entirely in 2026. So our logic is quite clear, quite understandable and strategic, and it provides for a certain sequence of actions. Now, I wouldn't be announcing any new program or even the blueprint for this new program, because there is no certainty whether the current one would be extended or whether a totally new one would be launched. There are various options, and we would be continuing working under this current program, and the probability here is high. But of course, we have to start thinking about the new program, and this probability is related to the negotiations in the times of the war. In no way is it related to our ability to meet our own commitments. 8 revisions of the program have been carried out so far. We are within this track, and we are meeting practically all of the commitments that we undertook. The time for one more question. Gleb Wyszynski. He's not a journalist, but he's a very well-known leader of the civil society.
Thank you. Center for Information Strategy. Question to Sergei Marchin, one of the priorities mentioned by Prime Minister. This is fighting shadow economy in a majority of state institutions that should fight that are in the vertical of Ministry of Finance. You have the designation of the head of Bureau of Economic Security, Customs. What are the next phases of roadmap? Maybe acting head of fin monitoring, other elements, what can be better in this area with the new government. What is your vision? Thank you, Gleb. Again, there are certain expectations. We will see. We shall see. And the management of new appointed bodies, we have certain expectations into the reloading of customs and other corruption bodies, anti-corruption bodies. It is a philosophical issue rather than designation appointment. So, of course, we will help to strengthen leadership of the new managers and heads that potentially should be in Bureau of Economic Security and Customs. So this is priority for us. We have plans and vision how to support this leadership from our side. We expect from this management certain steps on the shadowing of economy, clearly sectoral wise, and we will have a constructive cooperation. Appointment of these people was at the open competitions. So I think that the request of the public will be satisfied in full size. We are finishing the second panel. Thank you for your Q&A session. Thank you, Dmitry. Thank you to all participants. Thank you so much that you've been answering to all the questions posed in front of you. Esteemed participants, let's make a pause. We early completed. We will have a break for 30 minutes. Opportunity to ask questions behind the curtains. We will have also an opportunity to ask questions. So in 30 minutes, I will invite you to resume our work.
Шановні гості, шановні учасники, попрошу вас присідати на ваші місця в залі. Ми готові розпочинати.
We are ready to start our second part of important event today.
Уряду і для українців.
And,
Сьогодні з вами присутні
and for the
презентації проєкту.
government and for the public. So now we are present at the presentation of a government's program of actions, action plan from the Prime Minister in the first half of the day. Give us opportunity what are the focuses of our government officials and state to ensure the basics of the state and moving forward. That the state should be developed. I reviewed a Telegram channel, active citing few interesting figures that were in the first two panels, and next part will give a pretext for interesting questions and information. Moreover, our next panel is dignity of nation, unity, integrity, and the discussion with the heads of institutional tracks. I invite Ilona Stankevich, head of communication department of Ministry of Science and Education. Ilona, QR code, questions, and also to the actual. I invite you. Esteemed colleagues, we are talking about the dignity of nation and integrity. Denis Ulyutin, Minister of Social Policy, Family and Integrity of Ukraine. Natalia Kalmykova, Minister of Vets Issues of Ukraine. Matvey Bidny, Minister of Youth and Sports of Ukraine. Oksana Lisovy, Minister of Education and Science of Ukraine. Viktor Leshko, Minister of Healthcare of Ukraine. Esteemed ministers, our panel has the most number of speakers, so I do hope that we will stick to the agenda within timing of 3 minutes and 5 minutes of Q&A. First question to Mr. Denis. You launch a new model of pension system and basic social aid. I know that the minister accelerated the work on prosthetics sector. What is your opinion how it will impact on the life of Ukrainians and when we will see the result? Thank you so much. I would like that we stop thinking about social policy as the policy of allocations. Social policy, this is first of all, in my understanding, this is investment into the future of people. When we will switch and stop thinking about allocation for social area as allocations, then we will understand what steps should be made. It will be dealing with the pension reform, new model of pension system. For a lengthy time, we lost the trust to the solidarity system of pension fund, and with this losing this trust, we lost the resource. So we have to recover the trust, which gives us a opportunity to gather the resource that system would be working again. An individual retired should feel itself with dignity. The trust of this individual to the state, it will be dealing also about prosthetics. Now we have a certain controversy in the system, and some people are upset. We communicated with defenders that during this period they should feel dignity, and we state we should feel dignity because we are trusted. We became the system partner for them. They gave the health, the most valuable, defending the country, and we have to recover them to life, integrate into the economy, and show that they are part of public, which should be a part of those things that should be implemented. This is also related to the social aid. We have 57 different social services. These services are so small that people feel itself miserable but not dignified. The state doesn't change anything. They pay a little money with the not changing this approach. We will not change so basic social services is a part of this process. Thank you.
Пані Наталя, скажіть, будь ласка,
Ms. Natalia, government plans integrate a network from 3,000 specialist company vets and to ensure a comprehensive process of recovery. How this specialists will be trained and how it will change in support of vets. This specialist is an element of the construction of the system. We have a lot of different programs that are acting for vets in the healthcare, in education, in housing policy, in social policy. But through the dissemination of all these actions, the vets have an impression that nothing is in place. So we started construction of such single window, offline and online window. Offline, this is a company case managers that have the knowledge in terms of all programs that exist for veterans at the state and local levels. It is important not to confuse a company, the specialist of vets, with social workers. These are the people who are working with the vets of war, with disability, with families of defenders and families of the perished or killed in action. They coordinate the further route of vet. If she needs medicine here and here, you can be treated. If you need housing or she needs housing, these applications, I will help to fill it out and will help you to apply. If they need one of the social services from Ministry of Social about lengthy treatment, then the specialist helps to apply. This is also is in place. We have more than 1,500 company vets specialists. We covered more than 1,000 hromadas on territory. We can 200 communities that don't have an opportunity to employ people by our standard. They sign the memorandum with the neighboring hromadas and specialist servicing all vets that he or she has in his field, her field. This is offline, but the key issue is location and also healthcare facilities. Together with Viktor Leshko, we have a list of healthcare facilities because coming there, the war veteran or participant in hostilities may not have all necessary documents. So, in order not to overload doctors, this company vet specialist takes this responsibility. More than 100 hospitals have such functions. The strong side of our country, our smart policy. Last year we started to express to have the certificate of participant of hostilities India app. And on July 7th, we launched together with the Ministry of Digital Transformation, Veteran Pro. This is a separate space India app because vet, first of all, is a citizen, plus he has combat experience. And entering India app, vet has an access to those services that are specific to the specific vet. So there should be one place in smartphone. And platform mentioned by Prime Minister, in cell phone, also we will make a platform where every ministry will place their services and reports to show their successes. For instance, social policy will show how we changed the prosthetics process, how much money we have in the budget, etc. And how many people they may have prosthetics. This is also will be for the vets.
Пане Матвію, ви впроваджуєте запроваджуєте ініціативу ЄС молодіжна
Mr.
гарантія
Matvey, and you implement
працюєте над
EU
утвердженням
initiative, Youth Guarantee, and
Як ці два напрями
also work on track
можуть
of
запропонувати поколінню
identification of Ukrainian nations.
resilience?
How what do you think about the resilience the government talking about? Resilience generation, this is at our public for the challenges of wartime that we face. Generation of resilience, it is a youth that may take the responsibility, be active in this complicated time, and work for our victory. In terms of national confirmation of national identity, this is a priority and conditional of state security, and the practices of volunteering, dignity, attitude to our warriors. This is the assignment that today builds our unity and integrity. We have a formula which composed of this is joint glory in past, joint action in the present, and the vision of future. These are the targets, these three components to build this. All components are targeted, geared to these targets. At the end of the year, we can show you big sectoral platform, united scientists, experts, opinion leaders to ensure the basis, show the basis, past the joint glory where we can build our will and resilience in the future. A youth guarantee which we implementing together with the EU. This is a systemic reform targeted with the situation with the employment of youth. We have to make that none of the youth should feel itself abandoned. This project is efficient in the EU countries, annually involves to the labor market 3.5 million of young people. And since 2014, level employed amongst the youth in Europe was decreased from 25 to 13%. The contents of program is that if during 4 months a young individual cannot find a work, it should go through continuous training or gain individual trajectory of development or be able to be an entrepreneur. Also, I wouldn't underestimate the sports. It's not about model, phenomenal event. We had 3 place amongst 112 teams, sports teams in China. Our athletes demonstrate a will to victory and inspire all of us. And I would like to thank to every trainer and each athlete, because sports bears valuable public values which we develop through the reform, through the science and sport, which is important component of any modern sports training programs related with the sports infrastructure. We cannot build stadiums today, cannot build big palaces of sports, but basic infrastructure for our children, for our vets. Today, within the focus of our attention and jointly with Min Development, MOE, and Minfin, we build plans for the recovery.
Пане Оксане,
Thank you.
ви оголосили про запуск
Miss Oksana,
підвищення кваліфікації
you launched a new system of preparation of teachers. It's like money that are going beyond the teacher. 100,000 teachers will go through this training. Will it impact on the quality of teaching? Speaker of Parliament, Ruslan Stefanchuk, in his speech, he focused attention on very important thesis. Any system, it's not a comprehensive of processes as objects, subjects, so they should be united by the target. What we do in Ministry of Education, this is a complex of decisions that are targeted to one goal, to make an individual happy, successful. Young individual, we plunge into certain environment. This environment that are composed of the spaces, equipment, with the contents of education, but the key element in achieving this target, there is an individual which feels the life and all the physical instruments that we provide are contextual. If a teacher would not be motivated, if teacher will not be involved and constantly developing, our investments into infrastructure or in change of contents of education will not be efficient.
So the teacher is a key figure and a key factor in the success of achieving this goal. Today we are speaking about new approaches to the teacher training. We invest in professional development of 150 up to 200 million hryvnias per year. Through the governmental investment, through the Institute of Professional Development for Teachers, and we seem to know who would be the service provider. So now we will change this approach. We will trust the teachers to make this choice. The teachers themselves will decide what professional development program to choose, what choice to make. And thus we create a marketplace for teachers where all of the programs will be posted and the teachers will be free to choose how to advance their skills, knowledge, etc. So we open up this marketplace, we make the entire system competitive. Not only does the teacher choose a certain program, but they also give feedback on the effectiveness and efficiency of this program. Thus, we make investment in education more efficient, and of course, we care. And here we speak with the Minister of Finance about the salaries of the teachers. But that's not the only motivation for teachers. It's the environment, it's the management system, it's the opportunity for self-accomplishment, and the availability of this wide choice. So it is a priority to us, and it will ensure that the quality of education goes up. Thank you very much, Mr. Leshko. The question to you: you are now launching the health screening for people, and you are expanding the network of mental health clinics. How will that come operational? I wish all of us good health. The vision of our team is as follows. We want accessible, high quality and free health care to all of the Ukrainian citizens. Accessibility is geographical, material, and effective in terms of indicators. So we introduce a couple of initiatives to this end. Medical workers in near-front areas and in rural areas will have housing. Then we will have the 200,000 hryvnias motivational amount to the young doctors who go to work in those areas. Just this salary would not be payable to all of doctors that choose this program. It will depend on their meeting certain indicators. The health system or healthcare is a system, and any managerial decision should be well substantiated. So when each of the parts of the systems fits and works effectively, the decisions are properly implemented and solutions are found. So by launching our initiatives, we tell people, you work on the ground, you spot issues, and we respond to them. And we introduce new standards of rehabilitation support in new rehabilitation spaces, in cluster hospitals and in smaller clinics within communities. Then we would have the electronic cabinet, so the account of a patient, allowing the patient to talk directly to their doctor and vice versa. And this year we will also enable people to get licenses electronically. That's licenses for the management of hospitals. And all of that will support the health of the nation. Next year, we are introducing the screening or the checkup for people with coronary diseases, with diabetes, and with mental health conditions. These are people over 40 who will be able to get these services in any medical institution that is part of this program. And we, as the government, are prepared to pay for the service and for the quality, because when it comes to the checkup, it should be a service. Then, when certain gaps are located, then the government will respond. When it comes to cardiovascular diseases, then we've got the program accessible medications, and it will be expanding when it comes to the heart disease. Then the new tariffs for heart surgeries and planned shunt. So we are interested in having Ukrainians to be healthy and economically active as long as possible. Now, questions from the media. So please remember about the topic and try to reach out to each of the speakers, okay? Liganet. Can I keep the mic? Thank you very much. So I am Volodymyr Fomichov, and in addition to being a journalist, I also a former prisoner of war. I was in captivity for 2 years. Hence, my question to the Ministry of Social Policy, then Ministry of Education and Health. So I am a person who was deprived of health and freedom, first of all, liberty and health, and suffered as a result of the war. So my question is as follows. Can we also be covered by e-housing, that's the OSELA program? Because a lot of former prisoners of war sometimes stayed in captivity for 8 years. They have nowhere to live because they were captured in the territories that are now occupied. So they were suffering for Ukraine, for their pro-Ukrainian position, and now they have no opportunity to get housing on favorable conditions. Now, there's Roman Kovalchuk, a young man who was recently released. He was in captivity for 9 years. Will the Ministry of Education and Education and Science be prepared to support former prisoners of war should they opt for further education? The same pertains also for Mr. Leshko. Can we be treated or rehabilitated? Because a lot of people have dentistry problems. When I was released back in 2018, I was kept in a rehabilitation center in Feofania for a month, and then we let go. And nobody seemed to care ever after. Denis? Thank you. Last week, a resolution was adopted whereby we provide compensation of the 70% of the first or down payment for the housing to those who lost their houses in temporarily occupied territories or in near front territories. So you will be able to benefit from this program. You fall under all of the terms and conditions. You are a working individual and you don't have housing in the safe territory. And if there is a request for our catering for former prisoners of war, for the recipients who really require housing, we will address this issue. Minister. Yes, the former combatants and veterans can get education in Ukrainian universities. That's the higher education. But unfortunately, we have to prioritize because there are veterans and their children, according to the bill. That is currently in Parliament. We provide for such a tool a special grants that will be extended to all of those categories that are included in the bill that the state has certain commitments to. So, and should they again want to get higher education. So this opportunity is available right now, but with the adoption of this bill, it will be of a better quality protection to veterans and their children. There will be different strands, so to say, of those who can preferable treatment when being admitted to universities. But should you have an individual case, please write to us. Victor? It's our policy to spot problems with or issues with health conditions of war veterans and former prisoners of war. So we see where those conditions are, how they can be resolved, and how to reach out to all of the Ukrainians from this category across the country. We are thinking now how to work with civilians who were held in captivity for a long time. So it is about prevention, it's about rehabilitation and treatment of diseases that they got while in captivity. So, and dentistry is one of the major issues. And as Prime Minister said in her presentation at the beginning, we are aware of that. We are looking for solutions. Then when it comes to the treatment of diseases, we have to look at all of the diseases, rehabilitation, physical rehabilitation and mental health rehabilitation. It is available to all of those categories, but where we see that there are certain bottlenecks in terms of priority, the former combatants would be number one priority, then former prisoners of war, then civilians who were returned from from captivity, and we are looking for certain solutions that will allow us to overcome crises. We do have this problem because it is a new phenomenon for the country, but we invite you to report such issues when you come across them. Thank you. Two more questions can be asked. Interfax Ukraine. Good afternoon, Dmytro Shemykhin, Interfax Ukraine. My first question is to Denis Ulukin. Minister, sir, can we introduce the new private pension system before the war ends? At least it's a hot phase. Now we are preparing the budget, and you say that 2,000 will be added to the IDPs. And third, given that there were certain issues in your ministry, will there still be the policy of optimization of universities? Mr. Ulukin, the private system or the second-tier pension system is not about the possibility or impossibility to introduce it during the martial law legal regime. it's about the tool, the financial tool that or instrument that we can offer to people who decide to invest in tier two system, that it will be preserved, and the trust in this instrument is important. Now that we are still developing our internal financial market, it is very difficult to find such instruments inside the country. We offered the governmental bonds as an instrument, but we saw that they didn't work when we from the public sector, from the public finance, take part of the money, and then we invested in governmental bonds. We just protract the problem, and now we will have to invent a temporary financial instrument for anyone who invests in this system of pension provision would realize that this money would be safe and protected against inflation. Thank you. Aksen? In the 2026 state budget draft, the money is there as a surplus for working in difficult conditions for teachers and medics. It still is 2,000 hryvnias, but now working with the Ministry of Finance, we were commissioned by the Prime Minister and President to find a solution to increasing this bonus or this surplus that is paid to people working in very dire conditions. Yeah, as far as the optimization of universities is concerned, it wasn't somebody's personal opinion or vision. We did that because of the exigencies of life. That's the factor that is under the influence of demographic and social processes. So a very well-weighed policy of optimization of universities will continue as other education reforms. Any questions to Matvey and Natalia? No questions? Kyiv Independent, here you are. Yana Project, Kyiv Independent. My question goes to Natalia, Minister for Veterans Affairs, about the case managers. Are salaries sufficient? Do you think that what amount do you think would be sufficient so that the case managers' ranks grow? They promised a salary to the case managers, and we had an initiative that had several other terms. It is now 20,000 hryvnias. Last week, the government reflected that in the official documents, because there were situations whereby not the complete salary was paid to case managers. As far as the duties of the case managers are concerned, that would be helping the veteran to navigate all of the services provided by the government, by local authorities and hromadas. And depending on the hromadas, the case managers will have their own kit of such services. In Ternopil Oblast, for example, they should know what the government provides at the national level, what the regional authorities provide, and what the municipality or the rural community promote, because they can create their own additional programs. If it is the case manager in Zaporizhia Oblast, then accordingly they will know what's available in Zaporizhia Oblast in addition to what is available at the national level. So as of now, 270,000 services have been provided by case managers. So we see that this service is in demand indeed, that a former combatant does require assistance of such coordinators or case managers, and we are extremely thankful to the Hromadas that took it very seriously, and in addition to paying salaries, they create conditions, favorable conditions for their operation. Thank you very much. I would like to thank all of the speakers, and I give the floor over to Oleg. I would like to thank all of the speakers as well for your proactive stance, for your preparedness to do what Ukrainian people, including our defenders, require at the moment. The next panel will be dedicated to security of the country, and this is one of the most important aspects of Ukraine's existence as a state. Thanks to the security and defense forces, can we now plan our life for the future? So it is an issue not only for us in Ukraine, but for our international partners as well. So whatever you hear right now and proposals that you can contribute into the draft program are all extremely valuable. And I will give the floor to moderate this panel discussion to Georgi Tikhy, who is spokesperson of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Честь оголосити і провести цю панель. Прошу.
Дякую, Олеже. Ви абсолютно праві. Це наша заключна панель з критично важливої теми безпеки та оборони. І я запрошую наших поважних панелістів. Це перший віце-прем'єр, міністр цифрової трансформації Михайло Федоров, міністр закордонних справ Андрій Сибіга, міністр оборони Денис Шмигаль і міністр внутрішніх справ Ігор Клименко. Поки наші панелісти займають місця, нагадаю, у нас сьогодні формат, я промодерую цю панель, задам питання нашим спікерам. Після цього ми матимемо коротку сесію 5 запитань. Буду вибирати з-поміж тих, хто тут присутній. Пропоную тоді розпочинати одразу і логічно, мабуть, цю панель розпочати з Дениса Анатолійовича, як з міністра оборони. Денис Анатолійовичу, зараз ми бачимо, як сектор оборони, власне виробництво озброєння Україна розвиває колосальними темпами. Хотілося б від вас почути, які існують стимули, які ви бачите стимули, щоб ще цей процес спонукати, розвивати далі.
Всім бажаю міцного здоров'я, шановні Юлія Анатоліївна, шановні колеги, урядовці, шановні народні депутати, партнери, журналісти, українці, українки. Дійсно, президент поставив сьогодні завдання в першу чергу закупівля озброєння за кошти, які...
To purchase the weapons that 50-50 principle, so 50% of weapons should be purchased of Ukraine production. So we have some actions for stimulation, but now well known there is a number of elaborations. But today we develop and implement the principles of implemented by the president, built from Ukraine, built in Ukraine. So we worked with the partners. We produce the partners for Ukrainian armed forces for the funds of our partners. The principle to build or produce weapons in Ukraine and ammunition is also with the partners. We take here the Danish model when the funds of partners are used to pay to Ukrainian producer for the production of arms and ammunition to Ukrainian armed forces. So accordingly, these are two instruments that we have now in work. Also, we have an elaborated number of instruments with our partners. NATO Project Pearl, where our partners purchase the weapons from US to Ukraine. Jumpstart US program, which is very efficient and give us an opportunity to get timely the weapons that we don't have and we cannot produce. Also, There are projects with the Europe which we implement in Europe. There is a whole track on programs on funding of production of weapons. The biggest European project this is Safe Loans project. Loans on this program where 18 countries agreed the sum 150 billion euro for next budget period. Ukraine, with majority of these countries that agreed, have relationship, and we agreed, and we will take part jointly with our European partners in this program. Internal instruments, this is the draft law defense city, which the majority of producers of weapons are expecting. It will give opportunity not only to get accordingly the discounts and structure the aid and support for our producers of weapons, but also to consider active participation in this part of built with Ukraine, export and quasi-export of our weapons, where we lack or there are no funds to purchase, or where we have already production more than there is a need of Ukraine, even during the wartime. We have to open for Ukraine international market of weapons and arms, and we should start upon condition that the front line and armed forces are ensured by this type of production for 100%. Then we can move in export dimension and contracts to increase our export potential. Besides that, we also work today over the track of strengthening inside the armed forces, decrease of bureaucracy, decentralization of purchase. The government took the decision or resolution that we firstly give the brigades to purchase, except drones and UAVs, jeeps, motorcycles, and other transportation means. So we increase the formula for brigade that they should be in decentralized manner to purchase this last mile, purchase whatever they lack, and which is not provided by the Ministry of Defense and the Agency of Defense Purchases, where we have some repairs, maintenance, jeeps, for instance, pickups to purchase like used cars, which cannot be possible from the state purchase, for instance, cannot be done in wholesale manner. So we do everything that the armed forces should be maximum extent provided with necessary equipment, weapons, not only the weapons and ammunition, but also transportation means and other means of jamming, UAVs, spare parts, maintenance programs, which can be produced in Ukraine. And now this is one of the elements of certain motivation. Dot chain, this is also an element of digitalization, and Mikhail Fedorov will announce new novelties, but marketplace is created for the armed forces where brigades can enter and select by the earned points, to select equipment and weapons, and the deliveries will not be months. Our idea is that the deliveries should be maximum weeks, even days, from the moment of the customer application, and it will be an opportunity not only to purchase drones and any other equipment. As of today, we actively implement enterprise that take participation in this marketplace, and also military units are involved. At the end of the last week, the first 1,000 of drones for the marketplace .chain platform was already delivered into military units. So system is working. This is next level of adaptation of the program Bonus Plus, or the so-called E-points, which our military liked, and it's created healthy competition and created an efficient instrument of such efficient use of modern innovative weapons. Now we are on the next level, and we will be implementing that. This is also an element of certain motivation, because it removes intermediate between the producer and the military that directly order the item from the producer, which is critical. So such instrument we have at our disposal, and also other things amongst all. Thank you. It's important signals. I'm sure that our military and defense sector heard these important signals. And also, it's a logical bridge to Mikhailo Fedorov. Question to you in continuation about Brave One, defense cluster that became already a founding block of Ukrainian defense. It's really interesting to know in this program of government, what do you think about Brave One development and what are the priority technologies? Good afternoon. We can say now that we have war of attrition. So it's important to count every kopeck that is invested in weapons and support of different, and understand how efficiently our investments are working. I'd like to continue to tell you about the project that we relaunch on the basis Brave One bonus systems, where for the damaged equipment we give virtual e-points through the market. This is Amazon for the war, when they select for these points certain weapons, and in fact, it is a revolution for every country. We form the need from the trenches for military what they specifically need. Not the bureaucrats resolve this, but the military themselves decide this from the war trenches. This is math of the war. We get not only quick delivery, anti-corruption, other advantages, we also get data which we take for the decision-making process. We clearly understand how many drones are used, what is the efficiency, what we need to do to inflict more damage on the enemy, what the Russia does, how many reconnaissance they use. So the first project we relaunched with Denis Anatolyevich, we changed the tunnel funnel, the points being calculated, the state is purchasing. There is no such a process. Military gets points they order from marketplace, from business, and state pays directly to business. So we generate smart contracts. Now we see that US now announcing that they similar should launch for their army using this experience. This is first question, Brave One, math of war. We launched this marketplace. Secondly, we need to change the cycle of innovations. We need to win Russia. Sometimes they win. Our task to monitor this and to build the processes to generate innovations first. For this, we launched a few combat units. President signed an order that decree that we should have acquisitions for military, and together we test the products at the fields of war. We understand in real time what is working, what is not working. It's not a key bubble where we don't know what is there taking place. We understand that Russia changed to operative distance with lightning, drones on fiber optical lines, and this has changed on the basis of Brave One because we started to test products actively in field of combat fields. So we launched our teams in track of innovations to technology with Ministry of Defense, and it is important point. Next, we started tested the product not only Ukrainian but of our colleagues from NATO, American colleagues. We launched fast track. Any company in the world can leave application and start testing their products in Ukraine. We did it 3 weeks ago. We have already 1,000 applications from around the world. This incredible request, and 50 products will be tested in Ukraine. It permits us more integrated with our partners to say what is not working with them, malfunctioning, because this is our force, this is integrity with the partners. And last point, this is search for game changers, how we can cardially change situation in the field of combat, theaters of war. We had sea drones that appeared in the weekend and destroyed the Russian fleet. Multi-copters became game changers. Now we 70 kilometers in deep, we cannot find any equipment of Russia. Last operation was a week ago. It's difficult to find 100 targets for the night. To hit in the night, so equipment of Russian is totally destroyed. These multi-copters, multiple UAVs, permitted to do this. Also, interceptors, game changers also it will aid, and they show high efficiency rather than other any type of weapon. Critical governmental decisions, and separately I would like to thank the Parliament that in the new budget they will calculate the money for grant programs. Next week we will launch and announce a few grant programs. First, Yulia Anatolyevna mentioned about explosives. These are big grants, more than 100 million. We will allocate to turnkey's project of plants that would produce innovatively explosives and then drones. Autonomy of drones could be increased in conditions of jamming and in complicated conditions where there are problems with infantry. So this is high technologies. These are grants. We have 500, 2 million, 4 million. No, it will be a separate grant program where we will allocate more money on this project. And last grant program, which we will announce, this is missile program, grant track, 20 products being supported in missile program. So we have emergence of new missiles, and a new grant program will be launched. These are missiles and ballistic missiles, so for the anti-defense systems. So these programs will budgeted for next 6 years. So all decisions are taken. And this innovative vertical that we built with the Ministry of Defense, it permits to implement it. So thank you. It is surprising, and Andrei Ivanovich will confirm that the rest of the world is inspired by Ukrainian innovations, which is a value added. I would like to invite Igor Klemenko, Minister of Internal Affairs, important component of security of the country. So the question is, we know that 100% of communities, you guarantee that there will be community policemen. So it will be officer rescue of the community. So how the security at the local level of Hromadas, which is a kind of component of national security. Good afternoon. I'd like to say that Hromada, we have more than 1,300 Hromadas functioning in Ukraine. Each Hromada, this is first line of security of the state. I would like to compare as many pancakes we have in a cake, and when you have to go through the last one, that's what we started to penetrate our Hromadas with security component from one side. It was initiated from the Hromadas, from another side. This initiative was put at the central level. And at the end of the year, we plan all Hromadas, and also those who are close to front line, to saturate with policing, community policing. We will take average community at 10,000 men. So this is 10 places of habitation, and the time of response should be minimum. If earlier this aid was expected in 1 hour and a half, now in 20 minutes, a mobile patrol should approach the community. In each community should be 2-3 policemen of community policing, data gathering at the meetings, and knows all the problems in Hromadas, And of course, we understand that the more we will increase our presence, security presence in Hromadas, the more our people will have trust and confidence that they are protected, which permitted to us, having heard our citizen, to pass to the second project that was successfully implemented. This is officers rescues in every Hromada. Now we have more than 600. Until the end of the year will be covered by this project. These are 2,400 officers rescues that will finish the training, and in October, in November, will enter the Hromadas. They will be jointly working with the policemen and fire squads, which are created in every Hromada. In parallel, we're talking about centers of security. This is our joint work with the Ministry of Health, together with Hromadas in Center of Security. There is police presence, rescue presence, medical workers presence.
And out of 42 such centers that exist, we'll have 6 stationary and 50 mobile security centers, and we will be launching them in the near front line territories. You know that we've lost hundreds of units of the police and first responders, unfortunately, over these years of the war. And this single number, 1112, is to cover the entire territory of Ukraine. Next year, we will expand to the south of Ukraine, and we will also introduce this service in Dia. 2.1 million calls were received in Dia on this number 112. That's the main first responders number, and the first line of security should be within communities. We have to get prepared for the post-war period. We have to ensure this feeling of safety and security in communities. The academic year is to start on the 1st of September, and the Ministry of Internal Affairs, together with the Ministry of Education and Science, do their best to make sure that children and faculty feel safe while they are teaching and being taught, so that we would be accompanying school buses across the territory of Ukraine, and we will have the school police officers in the amount of 2,000. But smaller schools with 50 to 70 pupils will be covered in terms of security by TCPO, Territorial Community Police Officers. And it will ensure the community safety and security so that we collaborate with the communities, and communities hear us and respond to our work. So after war, we will have a lot of tasks to perform, including countering illegal arms. And our force is the second largest. We will be procuring 55% of our equipment and ammunition from the national manufacturers. So we work as a team in the Cabinet of Ministers, together ensuring safety and security of our people right now and in the post-war period. Thank you. We can feel this team spirit amongst all of the members of the team. Now, Mr. Sibiga, over to you. It's symbolic that you would participate in this panel, because our diplomacy is also about security of the state. We can see lots of diplomatic efforts right now. What are the prospects of these efforts taken by Ukraine and our partners? Yes, thank you. I do feel part of this team, and The fact that I participate in this panel means that we all recognize that security and defense is part and parcel of our foreign policy as well as the domestic one. And I would like to reiterate what Georgi said. Our drone technologies are admired all over the world. They are being recognized as the best, and it is a very powerful geopolitical tool, diplomatic foreign policy tool that makes our foreign policy position stronger. Now to the question that a lot of people aspire to have answers received. Where are we now? We are now at a crunch stage, at a tipping point, where thanks to the maximum diplomatic effort we can bring the fair peace closer. This war to be ended this year. And we welcome the effort of the American partners that thanks to the negotiations held by President Zelensky with President Trump, with our European allies, we have achieved notable progress. And we are going up when it comes to diplomatic activity so that we could stop mass killings. And we can be very positive that we have got a consolidated, well-coordinated, unified position with our allies. And at the top level, President Zelensky strove to achieve this unity. And on the eve of this decisive meeting today in Washington, we've managed to consolidate the allies' support and to speak in one voice. So I can tell you that all of our allies share our vision when it comes to the ways and the formula for the end of this brutal Russian aggression. Now, to expectations, you might ask me about that. We expect further progress. We expect a clear understanding of the parameters of the future security guarantees, which are very important. And we expect to continue our work in the trilateral format, President Zelensky, Trump, and Putin, perhaps with support of other allies of ours. And we need to know what the timelines are for such meeting to take place and what the agenda is going to be. So it is a crunch moment, as I said, and it helps us to say that today, with the maximum mobilization of diplomatic effort, we can see the end of this war at the horizon. So we, Ukraine, Olena Chernykova, please. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Andrei, you were the last to speak, so my question would be to you. Yes, it is a decisive moment, as you said, in Washington. The guarantees to Ukraine will be discussed. So what are we doing to prevent Budapest Memorandum number 2 when we give up very substantive things and we don't get anything in return? So, and which countries are prepared to provide those guarantees? What's the role of China? And my question to the Minister of Defense, in the context of the negotiations, when will the fire be ceased is the issue of the reduction in the number of our armed forces on the agenda. Thank you very much. To catch up where I stopped, the guarantees should be effective. We've got very poor experience of diplomatic scars, and we have a clear vision of the parameters of those potential security guarantees. And now we are speaking about guarantees rather than assurances, and that's a step forward of sorts. Because earlier, the very term guarantees were never used at this level. So I would like to underscore this word, guarantees, and the further security infrastructure, including those guarantees in Ukraine. What's it like? And at the level of the national security advisors, we work very actively with our allies to develop certain items of the security guarantees for Ukraine. The countries that Ukraine see as a party to those guarantees are the countries capable of making very actual, very factual contributions into the enhancement of our security and protection thereof, because these guarantees should prevent any other further incursion or aggression by the Russian Federation. So we should be speaking about the package of deterrence, and Russia should understand that further shilly-shallying and dilly-dallying will impact the communication between the two countries. And they should be made aware that by hitting our cities like they did overnight in Kharkiv, in Sumy, they will be retaliated. So this package of deterrence will make Ukraine more safe, sustainable, more self-reliant, so that we can develop our own capabilities without being so critically dependent on our allies when it comes to equipment, ammunition, everything that our defenders require. Now, when this war is over, Russia will remain existential threat to Ukraine for years to come. And the best guarantee of our security will be the strong armed forces of Ukraine, equipped with the best hardware, trained in the best possible way, and well funded, well financed. So we are discussing that with our allies and partners, and we also discuss the way Ukrainian armed forces should evolve in the post-war period. It should be professional. It should not be downsized dramatically. This process should be staged or phased and not and smooth rather than very rapid. Whether it will be a million-strong army or 800,000, we are now making all of the calculations in consultations with our partners and allies as to what contingent of the armed forces would be sufficient to make sure that we are a very strong part of the east flank of NATO. The armed forces will remain a very important element of our security, of the security guarantees, as well as the factor of the security of our partners and allies. So that's what I wanted to say by way of answering your questions. Bloomberg, Olesya? Safronova Olesya, Bloomberg, thank you very much for this opportunity. My question will be the continuation of the previous one. Do we have a plan B if we don't exceed NATO, which is the US requirement? And then how can China contribute to the negotiation process? Do you ever consider this option? My first question is to Mr. Sibiha and also to Minister of Defense. There are Ukraine's national interests and challenges to our security. That's the Russian aggression. And we also have got the national constitution that provides for all of the parameters of our position, both inside the country and on the international arena. Now, other parts of your question. May I remind you what President Zelensky said during the Ukraine Recovery Conference in Rome? That was a signal to the countries that help the Russian aggression today in carrying on with this aggression. They won't have an opportunity to contribute to the recovery effort. So you've described Plan A and Plan B. So Plan A is about the strong Ukraine, strong armed forces of Ukraine. And that is the most powerful guarantee of our security for the foreseeable future. Then partner support and security guarantees on the part of the USA and the coalition of the willing, which is the backbone of the future security ecosystem for Ukraine. Our NATO membership is part of our constitution. Nobody is going to revoke that, and it is what we would be working towards. So together with Parliament, we are now implementing the necessary legislation. We are adopting and we will be implementing this legislation. And as Minister Sibiga said, I think everyone would agree that our force is within Ukraine. Not a single third party should have a veto over our geopolitical choice. That's the choice of our people, that's the choice of our state, and this is a principal position of a Ukrainian negotiating party. Not a single country can control our future. So let us think of other questions. Just everyone seems to be focused on America, but any other areas of our internal and foreign policy? Thank you very much for this question. You know, the world now is glued to Washington. I did my best, Minister. Yeah. My question to Minister Sibiha: what are our red lines territory-wise, given the recent statement by President Trump about Crimea? So now we heard about the new ballistic missile called Flamingo. Minister Shmyhal, how could you comment? I do not want to reiterate the principal position of Ukraine over and over again. President Zelensky is now in Washington with a very well-coordinated position. It's a strong position. Crimea is Ukraine. Crimea is Ukraine. There is Ukrainian constitution, and we have insisted on it several times in the past. So one of the basic unacceptable things, or no limits for the force of our army, right, or the number of servicemen and women. Just we speak about very powerful long-range equipment, weapons. You will learn about it in greater detail in due course. Is your question also about the USA or about something else to other speakers? Great. Yaroslav Zharnov, Telegraph. My question is to Mikhailo and Denis, that's Minister Shmyhal and Minister Fyodorov, you said that our choice cannot be restricted by any other third party, but we are restricting ourselves. President Zelensky, when he spoke inside the country, said that we should be developing the Danish model, we should invest in Ukraine, in our national manufacturers, but we also recognize that our manufacturers are not working to the full of their capacities because there are limitations to the exports of arms. So we understand what's the potential loss related to that. We understand all of the cons and pros. Any consolidated vision of the government to this regard?
Let me start. In terms of export, I said many times, I repeat it again, we can say about export, there is no legislative ban, so the export is possible, first. Secondly, export is not on the way because we have unsatisfied needs of our armed forces. They should be satisfied by our producers. Then the surplus can be exchanged for the weapons that is necessary. Or work with the partners and in defense city and in the proposal of the president build with Ukraine. There is an element of quasi-export when we build together with the partners at the safe location, the production, which starts producing right away. And 70-80% is produced, supplied to Ukraine. Partners for their funds, they buy out from that producer. The rest, 20%, is left at the warehouse of the partners because they also need to accumulate these weapons and technology. So this option today, in fact, is elaborated and we are ready to implement it. And we have already first steps in that track. Just open the export of our produce, it will not be correct from all aspects. Ethical, moral, that our military needs more weapons at the front. From geopolitical point of view, our task, if we are not loading our producer with our financial resource, and Danish model is a bright confirmation that partners can finance. Next step, this is instrument safe loans, 150 billion euro for next budget period in the budget of the Commission and 50 billion in the budgets of EU country members. And we have the agreement and the resource which will, from 2026, will cover the shortage of our funds for our producers that we should produce and accumulate at our warehouses and necessary weapons and ammunition. Actually, in fact, the Minister of Foreign Affairs said that this is a geopolitical issue for the time being, and in fact, part of producers, they are opened in Europe. And then our partners finance these companies, and 100% of supply is done to Ukraine. Not all can be open publicly. This is element of certain diplomacy, but with the reflection and what President mentioned publicly, that the policy here in this trend is developing. So in 6 months, it will be more changed. Let's say so. So today, partially this works in other format, but we will look what will be next in negotiations at the fields of theaters of war. So something will be changed. Any advices, questions to Igor Volodymyrovich and other speakers that talked less? Okay. A question to Mr. Fedorov and to Minister of Defense. Of course, we produce already some defense technologies. If you talk about new IT technology and defense technology that Ukraine wants to produce, is there any list which can we look at, maybe not in defense sector, but some things that can be open and in IT that the government would support with certain financial incentives so that the investors should come there. What are the new technologies Ukraine is ready to promote as a future producer, and where we can find that information? In fact, we have hackathon events with the sector in defense tech on the basis of Brave One. We publicly launched the grant programs. I mentioned about clear priorities, plans on production of explosives, drones with high level automation, also ground unmanned vehicles, and GUVs, and logistics is increasing every week for the use of GUVs. This is long-range weapons, so for missiles and for ballistic missiles, we already invested last week, and we will announce new programs. So if our priorities, of course, are left, we have cutters, kamikaze, then turrets hitting and used in defense systems. So we communicate, we launch grant programs, and the Parliament, after approval of changes to the budget, will add a few billions on this grant program, so we will announce separately. Plus, next week we will have meeting with Denis Anatolyevich with all the sector, defense sector. There will be closed meeting. We'll talk about priorities that all the producers would know about what is the focus of our work. We should crystallize our joint strategy. After change of the government, what we will be doing in forthcoming days. In September, we'll arrange the biggest investment forum of the world. There will be representatives of 50 countries where we will present our technological priorities for the whole world. First of all, for internal investor and also for external investor as well. I will add, Khan Robertovich gave in-depth TNT explosives, powders, all military chemicals are very big deficit, and so for many years there is a long queue for our armed forces for increasing production. This is necessary to do. So Mikhail mentioned about these big grants for this track to build turnkey plants for production of explosives. And we should be one of the leaders at the world market. So this is our advantage, maybe. Secondly, long-range weapons with laser systems. This is new innovation. All these laser leading reconnaissance drones with relevant technology. This is second, where we require new innovative decisions, fast decisions, where we expect some proposal from the businesses and our scientists. Third, these all other things that mentioned by Minister Mikhail Fedorov. This is technologies on AI, which will actually intercept drones interceptors with AI, which is also not a long-range perspective. We have 6 months, probably maybe more, when we should have this technology in place to protect our skies. The rest is within our forums, communications at weekly level. We arrange such communications. We can invent some other elements that become priorities in the modern warfare. Thank you. So our panel is over. So let's wish success to our government officials. Thank you all. Thank you all. So forces inspiration to implement. We heard there is one story which is important to see and hear, because today we heard 4 panels, key tracks, 4 key tracks. Maybe Prime Minister may have an opportunity to adjourn. Maybe you heard today from the participants of the panels. I'd like to thank you, all of you, for your time and energy. Today we have seen the project. This is a carcass of governmental program of actions. We give 10 days to provide proposals. We are ready to work out. We are open on all traps, security, recovery, dignity of nation, to have a comprehensive program. So there were many issues and questions. So sitting even in the first row, I would reflect that today it is very important historical day, but regardless of the future developments, we need definitely to be more stronger, more self-contained, and I expect that this program of actions, energy, would be targeted to implementation and will help to us again. I'm sure that we need to be united, government, parliament today with us, and the public business, think tanks, all of us, and we will work out completely. The program will be more stronger. It will be useful for us and necessary. Thank you for your time. So let's run and work further on. Whatever I heard today, this is program of actions of government, but it's a program for Ukraine and for Ukraine, for us. So let me wish you all successes and inspiration and implementation of the tasks that you posed. You can count on our support because it's important to Ukraine and its development. Thank you very much and to our new meetings.